Hello my beautiful friends, welcome to another video. If you're new here, welcome. I really hope you decide to stay because today's going to be a new video we're trying on this series that I'm going to be doing a lot more of for sure. So I'm going to tell you guys about what we're doing today. As you can see from the title of the video, this is a new series called Creeps, Crawls, and Glam for y'all because we're going to be talking about some haunted or creepy places around the world while I do my makeup and get glam for y'all. So that's why I decided to call it this. I racked through my brain. I thought Spooktastic Saturdays, Spooktacular Saturdays, but I don't even know that I'm going to be uploading on Saturdays. If you guys watch me, you know I'm pretty sporadic with my videos, but I'm going to attempt to do this once a month or twice a month at least. Today, though, we're starting out this series with the place that I love visiting. It is Gatlinburg, Tennessee, which is the neighborhood to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Gatlinburg has a really rich history, and I cannot wait to share some of these little ghost stories with you guys. So buckle up your seatbelt, friends, because we're going to be traveling all the way to Eastern Tennessee today. Let me know if you guys like this video. It's going to be a bit of a long one because I'm doing my makeup while I tell you guys some ghost stories. I hope you guys enjoy. Also, I guess I'm so excited to get the ball rolling on this video. Forgot to mention a few things. I'm not really going to be showing you or telling you what I'm doing on my face or showing the products. However, everything's going to be listed in the description box below if you'd like to go take a look. Also, everyone we're doing, I'm trying to match my makeup to the theme of the place we're talking about. So Gatlinburg, Tennessee is in the Smoky Mountains, and it's very beautiful in the spring and summertime because it's green everywhere. You can see the smoke on the mountains. It's so beautiful. So today we did a green smoky eye to match that. Just wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up of my ideas that are rolling in my head here. Again, please enjoy the video. Buckle your seatbelts because we're traveling, baby. So let us begin. Gatlinburg is a town located in Eastern Tennessee. It is described as a quaint resort-like village. Now, this is a very popular tourist place, and it has been since around the 1920s. I did my history on the place. It is a really populated area. That, as well as the area beside it called Pigeon Forge. Let me know if you've been here, by the way, and if you've had any, experiences on ghost walks or things like that. But Gatlinburg started out being inhabited by the local Native Americans, and the first settlers actually came from my home state of South Carolina. Isn't that cool? The first one was believed to be from the Oglesby family, which since then has become the Ogle family. They just changed it. This started with Martha, who was the mother. She decided that she was going to bring her 7 children with her from South Carolina to what is now known as Gatlinburg, Tennessee. And they decided to build a cabin and settle here. But right before that, the pioneers and some veterans of the Revolutionary Wars decided to kind of move here. They were like, hey, let's settle here. So they ran the Native Americans off and claimed the land for themselves. Now that Oglesby family that I was talking about would be a very influential family in Gatlinburg. Of course, it wasn't called Gatlinburg then, but they would come to open up one of the first shops in the town. One of their descendants would be the first merchant in town. And then they would also be responsible for even a lot of names in Gatlinburg of like businesses and hotels today. So the Oglesby family, their original cabin can still be seen in downtown Gatlinburg today, and I have it written down. Where is it at? The Aramont School of Arts and Crafts on their campus in downtown Gatlinburg. You can still go and visit today, which I think is super interesting. Now you may be asking, where did Gatlinburg get its name from? Well, very interesting story. There was a man by the name of Radford C. Gatlin who was a settler here. He had opened the second store in town, I believe. And what year was it? 1854, he opened the store, and in 1856, the post office got moved into his store. And when the post office got moved into his store, they decided to name the town Gatlinburg after Mr. Gatlin. Now, Mr. Gatlin was described at the time as a flamboyant preacher who attempted to open his own church and call it the Gatlinism Baptist Church. Mr. Gatlin was a Democrat in a Republican community, and they did not like that. They found some of his actions kind of odd at the time, and I guess got kind of offended by his actions, especially trying to open that church, and they eventually ran Mr. Gatlinburg off and banished him from the area. Let's get into Gatlinburg's rich history and some of the things that might account for the town being so haunted and having so much paranormal activity. So we know that the Native Americans once kind of settled in that area before it was taken from them. I can imagine that in that process, some of them were, probably had their lives taken, and they might be a bit vengeful about that. Also, the original settlers and pioneers of Gatlinburg are buried in unmarked graves that you can see in Gatlinburg today. And these settlers and pioneers that have passed, their graves can actually be found in the White Oak Flats Cemetery in Gatlinburg. You can go visit and see their unmarked graves. This is a very high paranormal energy activity area. These ghosts tend to make their presence known from reports. I'm pulling little brow hairs off of my glue wand. Anyway, it is said that orbs can be seen in this area. These spirits definitely want you to know that they're there. It's very high in energy, and a lot of tourists like to go visit this location. The next haunted place we're going to be talking about is Cades Cove. Now, Cades Cove was a place of living for some of the settlers in Gatlinburg before it became really popular for tourism, and there used to be churches, cabins, stuff like that nature there. And it is said that this is, again, a very high area in the paranormal activity. You can capture orbs on camera here. You can see the orbs. And some people even claim they can see a woman's face coming from the walls of one of the churches here. Is that not creepy? Would you not, like, have a zebra stripe in your pants? Because I, for one, know that I would. That's very scary. There's also a place in Gatlinburg. It is called the Roaring Fork Nature Trail. Roaring Fork Motor Nature Trail. See, I have the names of all these places written down because I cannot remember this, but it is a nature trail that tourists can drive through to see some very popular and peaceful spots in nature. You might see some animals on your way, some wildlife, like some deer. Maybe you'll get lucky and catch a bear from a safe distance, like there's no telling what you'll see out there. You are in the middle of the mountains, after all. But a lot of people like to drive this trail. But what you don't know, what you also might catch on the trail, is the ghost of a barefoot woman named Lucy. Lucy passed away on this trail in a fire in 1909. So after Lucy passed, I guess she was so distraught over how tragically she passed, she just could not leave the area. She actually stayed on the trail for people to see her ghost. So legend has it, a man named Forrester was driving the road where he met Lucy on the road. They fell in love. He fell in love so quickly. His name, some sources say Foster, other sources say Forrester, but Mr. F, we'll call him Mr. F, fell in love with Lucy so quickly. He was just madly in love. He wanted to marry Lucy. So he goes to find Lucy's parents, begs for their hand in marriage because he's so madly in love with her, right? Who wouldn't want to marry Lucy, a random woman you found on the road? But so he's explaining his love for Lucy, telling them they want to get married. Her parents seem really confused and he doesn't understand why. Until they come out and tell him that Lucy had passed in a fire a year prior to him coming to meet them. Creepy, right? He met a ghost and fell in love with a ghost. This place is wild. It seems like it's just bubbling with paranormal energy, and it's just so cool to read and research these things. It's crazy. So another place you may decide to go visit if you go to Gatlinburg is the Elkmont Ghost Town. Now, this again used to be a place where people settled. Back in the 1920s, it was a really popular place for tourists to come. There was a lot of deaths there during the time of the railroad work and logging work that happened there, and it has been shut down since the 1920s. Now, reading about this one really kind of gave me the heebie-jeebies because I have my own little ghost story. about staying in Pigeon Forge, which is the town right next to Gatlinburg. There's one road that connects them, and it takes you about 15 to 20 minutes to get from Gatlinburg to Pigeon Forge, I would say, depending on the traffic and, you know, what day you go, because some days, like weekends, are busier than the weekdays, and if there's any events going on. Now, in Elkmont, people claim they see the souls of the lost. They see the ghost of these loggers and these rail workers, and they also see men wearing top hats, which were a very fashionable piece in the 1920s. These men wearing these big, tall top hats, and they claim you can see them in the Elkmont ghost town if you were to go visit today. Me and my family actually stayed at a cabin in Pigeon Forge because we love to stay in cabins. They're just really cozy. If you go on vacation, we find it just to be a lot more comforting than staying in a hotel. And we always stay in cabins. So we chose to stay in one back in the springtime of this year. We went down for my mom's birthday. And this cabin was a bit more outdated than the normal ones we stay in. It wasn't as newer as the other ones, but it was a last minute cabin that we found, so we decided to stay. No big deal, right? Well, it's a 3-story cabin. My brother and his girlfriend are on the bottom. Our friend, like a family friend we brought with us, and my parents are on the middle floor, and our family friend was staying in the living room. In the corner of the living room, there's a little staircase that led up to an upstairs loft where I was staying by myself. The first night we're there, I wake up around 3 o'clock in the morning to go to the bathroom. And I opened my eyes a little bit, you know, like groggy, obviously, because it's early, to look over at the top of the staircase. There was no door, like, you know, blocking the staircase. It was just open. I see the shadow of a person standing there wearing a top hat. It was a taller person wearing a top hat. I instantly, like, rubbed my eyes. Like, I just knew I was still asleep. So I rubbed my eyes and opened them again to try to wake myself up. And whatever it was gone. Obviously, I'm panicking. I'm in full-blown just panic mode, right? I run downstairs and I'm trying to wake the family friend up. I'm like, Christian, wake up. Like, you're messing with me. That was you. Y'all, he would not wake up. It was a scary experience, but I thought I was just, you know, asleep when it happened. So I thought I was just seeing things. So I went back to bed. But when I read that the top hats were a fashion statement back in the 20s when this place was very popular to tourists at the time, and a lot of people, you know, died here, and people claim to see those ghosts today, it really just sent a chill down my spine. Like, I know now that I probably saw a ghost. And we had another odd happening in Pigeon Forge at that cabin that my mom experienced. So I'm not going to tell you guys about that unless you want some haunted history on Pigeon Forge. I'll definitely do another video. But that is the Elkmont place, the Elkmont ghost town. There were a few different names for it: Elkmont Resort, Elkmont Lodge, but we're going to call it Elkmont Ghost Town as there are so many ghosts of those who have passed that can actually be spotted, full-blown apparitions. Crazy, right? The last place we're going to talk about is the LeConte Lodge. Now, I believe this is part of a attraction center that they have, like a convention center. And this has several reports of people waking up at 3:33 a.m. exactly, like on the dot, seeing the ghost of a little girl at the foot of their bed, and nobody knows exactly why she's there or what she wants. And before you can get a word out, she disappears. I just think it's so strange that so many people have reported that same happening, and nobody really knows, you know, why she's there. Nobody knows any history on the place or if there's been any deaths there specifically. It's just very strange, but also really fascinating to know that so many people report the exact same thing happening. What we're going to talk about is called the Greenbrier Restaurant. This is now a restaurant, but it opened originally as a bed and breakfast in 1939. And it is known to have quite a few spirits roaming the place. The first one we're going to talk about is that of a woman named Lydia. Lydia was going to get married at this bed and breakfast, and during her wedding, her husband never showed up. Lydia, out of grief, thinking her husband left her at the altar, hung herself from the second floor of this place, and you can see Lydia's ghost today from the second floor. Her husband, in fact, did not just leave her at the altar willingly. He was actually mauled by a mountain lion. His body would be found after the fact, and some sources, or locals, believe that he was not mauled by a mountain lion at all. He was in fact mauled by a local legend called a wampus cat. People who run this place have a website of the Greenbrier restaurant. You can actually go check it out. They do refer to this as a food and spirit outpost for the fact that they have not one but two ghosts that they know of that haunt the place. Now, Lydia can be seen on the second staircase sometimes. The other ghost is that of a woman named Margarita Craig. Now, Margarita had rented a room here only to never come out. She would herself that night that she rented the room. However, Margarita is said to be a friendly ghost. She will close your doors behind you. She just kind of follows you around, but she is a friendly ghost. People who eat here or visit the place will say that it's got a really sad feeling to it. You can just feel the heaviness from that just very sad energy that's there. So this place was really interesting because they have not one but two ghosts. Also a family inn in Gatlinburg where a female worker was, while she was working one night, I don't know if I'm actually allowed to say like that words. I'm just going to say she was, while she was picking up some extra hours one night, and they say that that family inn is haunted by her ghost. She appears as a shadowy figure who will watch over you while you stay or while you visit. I just think it's really sad that so many spirits are just stuck, and she's probably reliving this experience that she doesn't even realize what happened. I don't know if you guys believe in all that stuff or not. It's just really sad to think about because people are seeing something. Like, if all these people are reporting the same thing, something's there. There's another restaurant in Gatlinburg called Oliver's Restaurant. This was actually built in the early 1900s, and it was originally the county jail. It was updated in 2007 to a restaurant. I'm assuming it wasn't a county jail like up until 2007. I'm assuming they probably shut it down years prior, but just left it empty, and it was updated to be a restaurant in 2007. I've never been, shockingly, so I've been to Gatlinburg so many times, but people say that if you visit this restaurant, you can hear screams, knocking on the walls and on the doors, walking on the stairs, and downstairs the water faucets will turn off and on by themselves, and the toilets will flush by themselves. So I guess the ghosts are having to use the potty. This is one I couldn't really find too much information on. Like, nobody says specifically, was anyone taken out here? Was there any incidents here of inmates, you know, accidents happening or dying happening? There was really nothing said, which was super interesting to me. A lot of these I couldn't find a lot of information specifically on what happened, so it's unknown, I suppose, if anything happened here for it to be haunted, but there are several reports of just noises being heard here. What do you guys think? The next place we're going to talk about is the cabin on Roaring Forks. This is a cabin that you can stay at today if you're on vacation. This cabin is said to be over 200 years old, and it is reported to be very weird and haunted by the ghost of a woman. Again, nobody knows what woman, is just reported to be haunted by the ghost of a woman. So I'm going to tell you some of the stories of people who have stayed here and what they have witnessed at this place. One family decided they were going to go out and eat dinner in town since the table and the kitchen were just really messy. They hadn't cleaned it. I suppose they didn't want to clean it. They just decided they were going to go out and have dinner instead of eating there because the table was not clean. Go out, have a nice dinner, only to come back and find that the table was set and everything. It was ready for them to eat. Utensils were in place, cups, plates, everything suddenly was set at the table when they know they didn't leave it like that when they left. Another story about this place was that when a family got here, the front door was wide open. They thought, okay, maybe the cleaning crew just left it open, because that, you know, the cleaning crew does come in after everyone's stay and gets it clean the same day before you are set to arrive. They didn't think anything of it, went out, came back, it was open again. So they thought, you know, this time it's a little strange. The next morning, they were going out on an adventure that would last pretty much all day in Gatlinburg. There's so much to do, it's easy to stay out all day there or in Pigeon Forge. But they go out, but before they leave, actually, they shut, lock, and latch the door. They make sure it's shut, locked, and latched because something, you know, they think somebody's getting in or something's going on that's weird. Shut, lock, latch the door. Go out, come back, the door's open again. I would just have left after the second time it happened, or, you know, I would call and make sure if the cleaning crew did not do it, I'm out of there, but, you know. There are also reports that the maids have claimed the cart in the living room where they keep the blankets and pillows will move around the living room on its own. So this place is very old. Nobody knows exactly, again, what happened here. Nobody can tell us. Nobody knows. It's very odd. There are a lot of old places in Gatlinburg. It's really cool to read up on some of it. Please feel free to do your own research. Let me know what you find. But this is just one of the many cabins, obviously, that is haunted in the area. Really cool to read about. So the next place we're going to talk about is a place that I've passed several times. Me and my family pass it just about every time we go to Gatlinburg. It's off of the main strip, and this is a haunted attraction called the Mysterious Mansion. Now, there has been some TikToks I've seen talking about one haunting that resides in this place, but I looked it up and I couldn't find anything on it, so I doubt if it's true. I'm not going to include that one. Please feel free to do, again, you know, do your own research if you want to hear more about it. But the story I'm going to tell revolves around that of a 7-year-old little girl. This place opened up in 1980 and is known to be one of America's first haunted house attractions. When it first opened, there was a little girl who went in, and it's not the same building it was originally, but it's in the same place. Like, it's the same structure as the building that was before. Everything's in the same place. It's just not the first one. This little girl fell from the balcony of the building into the creek below, and she would pass away. Now, they tore it down since then, and again, everything's in the same place though. So it is reported that around the anniversary of her passing date, you can see her crying, wandering the place, and she will even point to the balcony that she fell to her death from. It's very sad. It's very, very sad. There's also tales of another figure who you can find here, a hooded figure, and no one really knows any backstory on this one, but he is said to follow the cast members around, or workers, and also to follow you around in the shape of a hooded figure. There's also, I don't really think this is paranormal, but I thought I would include it because it was in my research I was doing. There is one singular light bulb in this place that will not stay on. As soon as they replace it, it goes out, and they've just stopped replacing it on its, like, in all now, I guess, because they've had the lightings, the fixtures, the electricity, everything checked, and that light bulb should be fine. It just will not stay on, so they have since stopped to even attempt to change it out. The place we're going to talk about is the Rocky River Motel. This one would open in 1936. It is still in operation today. It would be declared part of a national park in 1940. I'm not really sure where this one is. I don't think I've ever seen this one, but this is reported to be full of paranormal activity. It is a beautiful motel with a bit of a dark feeling to it. People report hearing knocks at their doors, and then when they go to check it, no one is there. The clocks are reported to go backwards, and you can also see orbs here. It just says it's full of paranormal activity, and no one really knows why. I don't know if I would want to know why. I don't know if it's scarier to not know why or like to know why. I really don't know if I'd want to know why things are, you know, have all this paranormal activity. Finished, so I have 3 or 4 more places to go, but please let me know in the comments if you like this kind of video so far. Are you enjoying what we're getting into? And what do you guys want to see next? If you guys have any requests, places for me to cover, please feel free to let me know. What's your favorite place we've talked about so far? Have you been to any of these places? Have you been to Gatlinburg or Pigeon Forge in general before? Y'all, all this talking is making my throat dry. The next place we're going to be talking about is the Rocky Top Village Inn. This is a long one, so I've got my little notes sitting behind my phone so I can kind of read it. But this was opened by 2 popular music producers, and it's been operational for over 30 years now. I'm going to tell you guys the names of these producers. I'm probably going to butcher them, and I really do apologize for that. Bode Low, Bryant, and Felice. They apparently produced some really popular songs for some really popular artists. Probably about 35-40 years ago, seeing as that's when they were, it seems like they were pretty relevant. Anyway, these 2 decided to settle down after opening this Village Inn. A few years after opening, there was a very big tragedy that struck. This is one that I've heard about before. So they had a couple workers who were there. 21-year-old Melissa Suttles Hill, who was a clerk at the inn, and 36-year-old Troy Del Valentine, who was a security guard. They died one night. Brutally. I don't know if I can say the K word. Anyway, they died while on the job. There was a group of 3 people who decided they were going to try to rob the place. So I don't think Troy was there when they initially came, but they came. They said they were interested in getting a room. When Melissa went to show them their room, I believe they would beat her. She was stabbed several times. Sorry. There's so much information on this. It's, you know, I don't like reading about sad stuff like this, but she was stabbed several times. And when Troy arrived shortly after to check on her, he was forced into a room and by the killers. Today you can hear the screams of these 2 coming from the hotel. People also claim you can see them from the parking lot near a fountain, and they say they hear screaming often. It's as if they're reliving these tragic events that happened to them. This one was really sad, and I have heard about it before. I just didn't know exactly what had happened, so reading about it was hard to read about. But again, please, if you're interested in, you know, like who done it and, you know, exactly what happened, please feel free to go read. This next one is a 2-parter. We're going to talk about the hotel first, and then the banquet tower, I believe, which is where they held business events and stuff like that. But we're going to talk about the Garden Plaza Hotel, or the Holiday Inn Sunspree Resort. So again, we're going to do 2 parts on this. The first part, we're just going to talk about the hotel/resort itself. So the first haunting here revolves around a worker named Alvin. And Alvin, on his 30th anniversary, was gifted a boat by the owners. So of course he wants to go try out his boat. Not really known where he took it to, but it is said that the first time he took this boat out, the boat started to sink, and sadly Alvin would drown. I believe Alvin worked in the kitchen, because it is said you can hear him in the kitchen, and that is where he likes to hang around. The second story revolves around 2 young girls. They were staying there, and they wanted to go out one night. So they head out to a local bar and decide to bring a guy home. They thought maybe that'll be a good idea, you know, have some fun while they're in Gatlinburg. So they bring a guy back from the local bar. I want to say a local guy back from the bar, but I don't know if he was local. They bring a guy back from the local bar. And when they bring him back to the room, one of the girls decides she's going to go out to smoke and leave her friend in the room with said guy. I wouldn't have done that to begin with, but, you know, I guess they thought they were just going to have some fun. Girl goes out to smoke, and while she's outside, the guy drowns the first friend in the bathtub. He hides her body under the bed and decides he was not done. He then went outside and strangled the friend to death. And people report being able to hear the friends in the room, and things move around the room by themselves. We're going to talk about the Holiday Inn Sunspree Resort Tower, which is the banquet hall kind of situation. I told you guys about. I believe it was also a hotel, like you could also stay there, because our first report of an incident goes back to room 471A, where a businessman was staying while he was out of town. It is said that sorry, lining my lips and talking is not my strong suit. It is said that he kept wandering around the pool area that night. When asked if he was okay, he stated he was fine. Well, everyone goes to bed. He shoots himself with a .357 Magnum at the pool, and obviously he did not make it. What is strange about this, I don't know if this is, you know, like haunted necessarily, but later on a maid found that he left a tip at a table for $3.57. It's just an odd coincidence, I suppose, but people claim at nighttime, if they look out their window to the pool, you can see a shadowy figure that of course they believe is him. Another incident goes back to when a Boy Scout troop, which I suppose is like a group of Boy Scouts, was staying on the 7th floor. Their leader kind of just snapped and started picking the boys off and killing some of them. If this video gets down for me saying that, I don't know what to do, but anyway, he took out quite a few before he was caught, and so they shut down the place for the rest of the winter season after that. But what's strange is one of the workers was cleaning up when he heard screams coming from the 7th floor, went to investigate. Of course, nothing was there because they weren't even renting out rooms at that time. Odd, right? It's very sad, very, I imagine for the worker, it's a really scary situation to be put into, seeing as you are cleaning and there's no rooms being rented out at all, but yet you hear screaming coming from there. This is the finished look, you guys. That's all the spooky talk I have for you. I really hope you guys enjoy this type of video. Please, again, feel free to let me know below if you did or didn't like it so much. Any tips would be really helpful. It's a series that I'm just starting out and I'm really looking forward to getting into some more. And again, if you have a certain area of the world you would like us to cover, please let me know below. I've got some really fun ones coming up. This wig I'm wearing today is a wig of Fortune Crown, so I'm not sure what her name is, but she was from Chelsey Smith Cosmetics. She's just such a pretty blonde. I don't wear her a lot at all, but I decided to break her out today. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know again, where's your favorite spot we talked about today out of all of them? Do you have one, or did you like them all? Because I think I kind of liked them all. I will see you guys next time. Thank you so much.